The call will go to the member for Tangney.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Treasurer. What progress has the Albanese Labor government made on the major economic challenges it inherited? And what does this mean for the budget in May? Thank you.
Call to the Treasurer.
Thanks, Mr. Speaker. What an absolute champion the member for Tangney is, and I appreciate the question. Mr. Speaker, when we came to office, inflation was high and accelerating, real wages were falling, interest rates were already rising, there were huge deficits and there was more than $1 trillion in Liberal debt.
Order.
Under this government now, Mr. Speaker, this Labor government, inflation is moderating, real wages are growing again, the budget was in surplus last year and there's less debt, which costs us less to service. By the time the Reserve Bank Board next meets, it will be 6 months without an interest rate hike. There is energy bill relief, there is cheaper childcare, there is cheaper medicines, there's more help with rent, and every taxpayer gets a tax cut on the 1st of July. And they don't like hearing it, Mr. Speaker, but here are the facts, as the Prime Minister just said a moment ago. Inflation under them quarterly 2.1, under us 0.6. Inflation monthly under them 6.1, under us 3.4. Wages growth average annualised quarterly under them a bit over 2%, under us 4%. Mr. Speaker, real wages, come in Spinner, come in Shadow Treasurer. What has real wages done, he says? What have real wages done? Under those opposite, real wages were negative 3.4%, and now they're growing again under this Labor government and under this Labor Prime Minister. Keep on chirping away, sunshine. Ask me about real wages. Ask me about real wages, Mr. Speaker. And we turned a $78 billion deficit into a $22 billion surplus, and we turned gross debt from 45% of our economy into something closer to 35% of our economy. And that's why our responsible economic management has been backed in by the IMF and the OECD and the ratings agencies and the Reserve Bank Governor, who said yesterday that monetary policy and fiscal policy are pushing in the same direction. Now, we know, Mr. Speaker, despite the progress that we're making, we know people are under pressure, we know that the economy is slowing, and we know that there's global economic uncertainty, and these are the three things which will define and determine our choices in the budget we hand down in May. Now, that budget will be all about relief, repair and reform. Cost of living relief, budget repair and reform of our economy to boost investment and grow our economy as well, Mr. Speaker, because we know that continuing to strike the right and responsible balance between relief, repair and reform is key to ensuring that our people earn more and keep more of what they earn. And we also know, Mr. Speaker, that those opposite have not learned a thing from a decade of economic mismanagement which gave us stagnant wages, higher inflation, bigger deficits and much more debt. And we know that they haven't learned from it, Mr. Speaker, because even almost 2 years into opposition, they still don't have an alternative plan for the cost of living, and they still want Australians working longer for less.